Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Jayme and I am your go-to curly girl. Today we are going to be tackling the issue of fuzz and frizz for curly girls around the world. This is my most requested video. I always get questions about how to get rid of fuzz and how to stop frizzy hair. Frizz and fuzz is really inevitable with curls. It's not something that you should hate. I actually love to embrace the frizz and fuzz sometimes, but I know that you guys want to get rid of frizz as much as possible. So today I'm giving you my top 10 tips to combat your fuzzy hair and to have really voluminous defined curls. So if you're interested, make sure you keep on watching. These are really great tips that I've accumulated over the last few years of being a curly girl. So I hope you enjoy. Let me know what you think in the comments and subscribe and hit the thumbs up button. Also, just quickly, I just wanted to say how amazing it is that we're nearly at 100k. Thank you for your constant support. I've been a little bit slack with getting videos up in the last few weeks because I've been sick, as well as being in a professional production. Billy Elliot here in Australia, so come check it out. But I'm really happy with the results of this curly hair wash day. You want to see how I achieved this voluminous, fuzz-free, defined curls? Make sure you continue to watch this video. So tip number one, I started doing this as soon as I started to transition from heat damaged hair back to my natural curls. And this is a tip I learned of another YouTuber, but it was about 2 years ago, so I can't remember exactly who it was. Well, but basically, tip number one is to flip your hair upside down when you are rinsing your conditioner out. By flipping your hair upside down to rinse out your conditioner, you are going to keep as much moisture in the top of your hair as possible. I found that when I wasn't flipping my hair upside down, the roots and the back of my hair was super moisturized, really defined, and they weren't fuzzy at all, but the top was really fuzzy and dry because it was overly stripped of its oils because of the way you stand in the shower. Basically, you know, the shower, the water is running on top of your hair constantly on the very, very top. So by flipping it upside down, you're going to keep as much moisture in the top of your hair as possible, which tends to be the most frizzy. And you're going to not strip your hair of its natural oils, and you're also going to have a little bit of extra product left in the very top of your hair, which is going to help with frizz and fuzz a little bit later on in your routine. So to recap, tip number one is to flip your hair upside down in the shower and rinse out your conditioner from upside down. Now, moving on to tip number two. What you want to do with tip number two is to rinse your hair with cold water for your very, very last wash in the shower. So I know it's a little bit of a pain, but right before you step out of the shower, I think an amazing step is to turn the hot water down and have the water on cold. And what you want to do is just finish off rinsing your hair with cold water. What this is going to do is it's going to lock in all that moisture, and when you step out of the shower, instead of having, you know, really hot hair that's going to fuzz up, you're going to have colder hair that has locked in the moisture. By doing this at the very beginning of your routine, you're going to see a massive difference when you get towards the end of your routine. So just to recap, tip number two, you're going to rinse your hair with cold water for your last step in the shower. Now on to tip number three. What you want to do is ditch your towels and use t-shirts. T-shirts are amazing for wrapping your hair in after the shower. When I used to wrap my hair in a towel, the fibers are too harsh for natural hair, or most hair in general, and it just causes a lot of friction that is going to make your hair fuzz up unnecessarily. By using a cotton towel, it's not harsh on your hair at all, but it does the trick in soaking up the excess water, and it's really easy to also tie your hair in a little updo with a t-shirt as well. So ditch your towel, it's going to create way too much unnecessary fuzz, and switch to a t-shirt. You can also switch to microfiber towels. They're a little bit expensive, but they are also really good for natural hair as well. But if you don't want to spend your money on that, just use an old worn out t-shirt like I do. I feel like this is a really forgotten step, or something that a lot of curly girls don't really think about. But once you get out of the shower, you've done your makeup, you've got changed, whatever, and your hair's been sitting in a towel for a while, it's obviously going to be quite dry. So I'm going to take my hair out of the towel now. I mean, I've done a full face of makeup and just like sat there, so my hair is not really that damp or wet anymore. This is a big mistake curly girls make. They don't re-wet their hair, and they just apply product right on top of dry hair. So my tip is to re-wet your hair, or at least re-dampen your hair. This way you're going to be able to apply products a lot easier. The products are going to be more effective because they work best when you have more damp hair, and in general it's just going to make your styling process 100 times easier and more efficient. So I like to take a spray bottle. If you're a curly girl that doesn't own a spray bottle, you are making a big mistake. They're like $2 from the dollar store. Go grab one. I just fill mine with normal water. I know some girls like to put a little bit of leave-in conditioner or something in there, but water works best for me. And I'm going to put on a robe because I hate the way that wet hair feels on my body. Ugh. Wait, what tip was this? I forgot. It's not tip number 3. Sorry, tip number 4. This is tip number 4. All I'm going to do is just quickly re-dampen my hair with this spray bottle. Now you don't want to soak your hair. You don't want to get the roots overly wet, but you just want to make sure, you know, it's fairly damp. This is just part of tip number 4. You want to brush through your hair to get rid of any knots so that the styling process is a lot easier, and this way you can actually tell if your whole hair is damp or not. Alright, so that is tip number 4. Pretty simple. Re-wet your hair so that your styling process is a lot easier. Now we're going to move on to your styling process. I have heaps of videos where I go really in depth on how sorry, I'm still a bit fluey. I go really in depth on how I personally style my 3B hair. This is not going to be much different. I'm going to quickly run through it, but I'm mainly going to talk about products and what works best. So I found that what works best to combat frizz but makes your hair nice and defined is using a cream or a leave-in conditioner first, and not overdoing it with the cream or conditioner, like not using something too thick and heavy. So using a light cream slash leave-in conditioner. This one is the Briogeo Curl Charisma Rice Amino Avocado Leave-In Defining Cream. It's got no harsh sulfates, silicones or parabens, so it's really good, and it's curly method girl friendly, or whatever you want to call it. This is the packaging. So I like to use a light cream, and then afterwards I like to finish it off with a gel or a mousse, something that's going to give your hair the hold that it needs. So it's going to, this cream is going to give your hair moisture and definition, but this gel is going to give your hair hold so that your curls aren't going flat and fuzzy throughout the day. So I like to use a gel slash a mousse. This is the one from the same line. It is the Curl Charisma Rice Amino Quinoa Frizz Control Gel. Also has no harsh sulfates, silicones or parabens. So using a pair together is probably your best option, something that you know works well together. So a cream and then a gel. If you don't want to use a gel and you prefer mousse, so you would do, well, if you don't want to use a gel and you prefer mousse, you would use the cream first and then the mousse in the exact same method that you would use the gel. So I really like this mousse. It's quite inexpensive. It's the FRIZZ Dream Curls mousse from John Frieda. I love this line. You can buy it in Sephora in Australia. You want to use a product you know is not too heavy for your hair, and just start small. You don't want to overdo it, but you can always build up products. So start small. I'm just going to apply this throughout the lengths of my hair. I do like to put it from quite high up, but I don't smush it into my roots because that's going to make fuzz as well. So I'm just applying it. Make sure you're getting the crown of your head. A lot of people forget to put product here and then they think it looks really flat, but you just got to give it a little bit of extra love. Part of my styling method that I've been doing for a really long time before I scrunch in a gel or a mousse is I like to use a Denman brush to define my curls. I don't do this like every day. Sometimes I'll just scrunch the product in, but if I want really nicely defined frizz-free curls, I will definitely use the Denman brush. I've got a full video where I really go in depth and in detail on how I use this brush, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. I'm just going to speed through this part and I'll link the video for you guys. One thing I will say about this is you want to also make sure you are really focusing on the crown of your head. And then let it fall and just give it a quick scrub. Now we can move on to scrunching the gel into your hair. That's going to give you hold. So this is the gel. I'm just going to scrunch. Now we're moving on to tip number 6, and this is all to do with the way you diffuse your hair. Firstly, you can definitely air dry your hair if you have enough time, and if you like the way that your hair air dries more than you like the way that your hair dries when it's diffused. I love the way my hair dries when it's diffused. I just get a little bit more volume than I do when I air dry. a big part of what makes your hair diffuse well is having a good diffuser. This is a GHD, the body is GHD and the diffuser is GHD. I love this diffuser. I like diffusers that have these little sticky things poking out of them rather than them being like a dish, like sunken in. I feel like when they're sunken in, it just blows too much air and creates frizz, but when it's like this, it really grabs onto your curls and distributes the air a lot more evenly. You also want to make sure when you're buying a diffuser that you have a good amount of settings. You want to have, you know, medium speed and high speed. So you want to have 2-speed options, you want to have heat options, so you want to be able to have cool, warm and hot, and then also have a little cool blast. So if you press this blast button, it will blast cool air, which is really crucial for curls. Another big tip with diffusing is you want to start by not touching the curls at all. So basically for a few minutes, for the first section of diffusing, you want to just move the diffuser around your head like this without cupping or touching your curls, so you're not disturbing your natural curl pattern. So that's what I'm going to do now. Also, I'm going to start on medium speed. I don't want to blow my hair too much right now when it's kind of still really wet. So no heat and medium speed. Now once your hair starts to dry a little bit more, you can start to gently cup your hair. Alright, so when you get about 50% dry with your diffuser, or maybe like more like 40, you want to switch the tempo up a little bit more. So you bump it up to high speed, you want to add a little bit more heat, and you want to start more vigorously, not vigorously, but more vigorously than before, cupping your curls. So when you get to the last stages of your diffusing process, what you want to do is you want to cup your hair and just shake a little bit. I know it's a little bit strange, but what it's going to do is it's going to give you a little bit more volume and separate your curls a tiny bit. You don't want to go overboard because that will create fuzz, but I like to do it like this. Woo! It's getting hot, and now my hair's dry, so I can take off the robe. Guys, so this is my hair straight after diffusing. It's about 85% dry. It's still got a little, well, it's still retaining a tiny bit of moisture, which is fine, but we're going to get rid of that a little bit later down the track of this process. So the next step you are going to do, tip number 7. I love volume in my hair. So this is my hair when it's, you know, super defined. I still love the way this looks. I think the curls look really nice. I'm a girl who loves the big curls, and I love volume. So that's what we're going to achieve now, and I'm going to show you the best way to do this without fuzz. That is the compromise. Sometimes if you want so much volume, fuzz just comes along with it. It's natural, but this is the way that you're going to minimize the fuzz whilst having a lot of volume. So this is tip number 7. You want to shake from the roots, but you do not want to disturb the top of your hair. So the best way to do this is literally to flick your hands under here. Now you're leaving a good amount of hair on the top of the roots, like on the top, you know, the top part here. By shaking just from underneath, you're going to create a bit of fuzz under here, but not necessarily on top, so it's not going to be visible. So just gonna give your hair like a little bit of a massage while shaking out your curls a little bit. Okay, so now we have definitely a little bit more volume than we had before, and that is from tip number 7, just shaking at the roots really gently. But as you can tell, that didn't create pretty much any frizz at all, which is perfect. So now we're going to move on to my tip number 8. This is probably the biggest tip. This is probably the biggest game changer, but this is probably the biggest controversial tip that I'm going to give you. I like to use hairspray on my curls. Yes, I know it's not part of the curly girl method. Some hairsprays have really harsh chemicals, but there are alternative sprays that you can use. But basically, in general, for tip number 7, Yeah, for tip number 7, I hope it's 7. For tip number 7, use a spray to hold your curls and to lock in all that fuzz. So I've got a few options here of different sprays that I like to use. I'm going to start with the hairspray that I use. I mean, you can use any hairspray really, but this is a super styling liqueur from Schwarzkopf, and it is massive. It lasts so long, but you can tell from down here, it's got maximum hold. Things you can use that I still use that I do really like when I don't want to use hairspray on my hair is this high hold finishing spray. This is from Alterna. They've got some really great products in their line, and I have talked about this caviar line before. So this is a really good spray for texture and styling. Next one you can use, which I've completely finished and I need to get a new one of, is another Alterna caviar spray. This is a anti-frizz dry oil mist. It is lightweight and it is for all hair types, so I basically finished this. But it is great to spray on your hair. I like it particularly for day 2. It gives me hold and it gets rid of fuzz. And now for another product that is really new that Shea Moisture has just released. This is a Hold and Shine Moisture Mist. It's part of the coconut and hibiscus range, but it is a new spray that is supposed to hold your curls. So if you don't want to use hairspray, this is also really good. I've really been liking this. I mean, I haven't used it very much, but I really like this on day 2. But if you're going out and you want your hair to last all night and look good all night without getting fuzzy, hairspray is honestly the way to go. This is my tip. I like to spray hairspray on my hair. Pretty simple. So I like to just hit the very tops, not too much, but I'm going to spray it all the way down to the ends from the tops. And the same on this side. And then I'm going to open and lift my hair this way. Give it a quick spritz. And the last thing I'm going to do is flip my hair over. All the way down to the tip. So you have to remember, I am a dancer, I am a performer. I've been using hairspray my whole life. It's kind of like my best companion. When I have an issue, I use hairspray, it fixes it all. Now that I've got the hairspray in my hair, what I want to do is I want to scrunch it in so it's not too hard. I just want to like blend it into my curls. So I'm going to start to scrunch. I like to finish with a quick blast of the diffuser to get rid of that extra moisture that's still retaining in my hair. And now it's going to be a little bit easier to shake your hair without creating a lot of fuzz. So and there you have it. That is no frizz, and it looks so amazing, so defined. It's not fuzzy at all, but it still has a really good amount of volume. So I've only got 2 more quick tips left. These ones are pretty self-explanatory. Get your hands on a silk pillowcase. I sleep on a silk pillowcase every single night. It is amazing for your skin as well as being amazing for your hair. Sleeping on a silk pillowcase is going to create less fuzz because cotton just fuzzes up your hair. So sleep with a silk pillowcase. It's also great for your skin, but it's a really good tip. So silk pillowcase. And lastly, this is also self-explanatory, but for tip number 10, do not touch your hair throughout the day. Besides giving it a little shake here or there, you do not want to put your hair in a ponytail and then take it down, and then a ponytail again and take it down, and then a bun and take it down on the first day of your wash day. This will create so much unnecessary fuzz. It's going to disrupt your natural curl pattern, and it's going to create basically a bird's nest and fuzzy curls. So if you are someone who unconsciously ties their hair up and takes it out and plays with it all day long on the first day of your wash, you're going to create so much frizz. So keep that in mind. But there we have it, guys. This is the finished result. As you can see, it's got so much volume and hardly any frizz at all, but it's also got a lot of definition. So I'm really happy with all these tips that I've accumulated over the last few years of being a natural curly girl. I really hope they help you out. If you want to comment below and start a little conversation with me, please feel free. I'm always in the comments section chatting to you guys. I love to just get to know you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Also subscribe to my channel, check out my Instagram. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If it helps you out, let me know, give it a big thumbs up and come back for more videos. All right, bye guys.